Yes, guys, welcome back to the Once You're In podcast with me, Fitex Tall Champion Finn Kelly. No, I'm joking.
That's an awful intro.
I am the champion, yeah. So this is episode 114, we think. The last two episodes aren't out yet, but this should be out by the time that this is out, or they will be out, because I'll message Sam.
We had a busy weekend, didn't we?
Very busy weekend,
You
mate.
had a busier weekend.
Busy
Sam
weekend.
also had a busy weekend. That's the reason why there's
Sam
a
was
delay.
with me all weekend. Just quickly, let me just open this.
And also, you said with me. You didn't say and Reese. You just said with me. So
Yeah, because he was with me the whole weekend. You weren't with me the whole weekend. You were with me for about a few hours.
Mate, you're incredibly slow. The podcast, the intro, you said, welcome to the podcast with me, Finn Kelly. And you didn't even introduce
No,
me.
you're not here,
Yeah.
obviously.
Finn's very slow for
Sorry,
some reason.
with me, Finn Kelly, and Reese Fit.
Reese Fit.
So yeah, this is going to be a relatively short episode. It's going to be like a recap of the last weekend.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a second episode, which will be an OG OYIYI.
Yeah.
So let me just have a drink, mate, and you take the reins.
Okay, fair enough. So we had a good weekend. It was a very good weekend. I wasn't there on the Sunday, which was a little bit disappointing in the sense of Finn didn't get me any tickets. I didn't even know there was a show till Finn
Mate, I
mentioned
didn't
it to
have
me.
a ticket.
Yeah, CMP hooked him up. And to be fair, like, what was the? Do you
WNBF
reckon?
first timers tickets sold
Do you reckon
out
I could have
stupidly quick.
snuck in, or was it pretty like strict?
Yeah, it was strict because they wouldn't even let me into the auditorium unless I got a WNBF
Really?
crew badge. Like, yeah, so
Like
you just
Fitex,
struggled.
Fitex are sound.
Fitex are really
Fitex are sound. They're just like, turn up. You'll probably buy a cookie deal or something, and that'll help
Yeah.
us. And if not, we'll give you some.
Yeah, we'll give you some freebies.
Yeah, we'll just give you some freebies. That's Fitex. But yeah, mate, you can more so talk about it. So it was obviously the Fitex show on Saturday, and then it was the WNBF first timers on the Sunday. Do you want to have a chat build up in the week? So what did you do in the build up? It was a bit of you pretty much just repeated the mock load, but with one less day, didn't you?
Yeah, I manipulated it a little bit. So I thought
Yeah.
after the first week, basically I didn't drop all the way back down to baseline. So and like how I felt, I knew I was still holding on to a little bit of fullness. So I was like, I don't need this Wednesday as well as a loading day.
Yeah.
So I'll just have the one main loading day as the Thursday, and then have the Friday morning as well. Whereas the week before I did Wednesday night, Thursday all day, Friday morning. So I had like a day and a half. No, I had like 2 days if you like.
Yeah.
Whereas instead this time I only did a day and a half. And I was a bit more aggressive with the loading because I knew I could be based on the data that I got before. And I knew I could be a bit more aggressive with my water intake on the sort of diuresis day, if you like. So that's kind of the data that I'd gathered was like, right, I can push fullness more and I can push diuresis more. So that's exactly what I did. And I was really happy with the look, like really, really happy. I've got some good data for the future shows. Realistically for the latter shows, like I won't be doing that same approach because I'll just be reversing into them. Yeah. So I shouldn't even be like needing to necessarily load because I'll just be consistently full. That'll be the plan for like the final shows. And that's like, so from now I need to be pretty much like 100% in like 8 to 9 weeks time.
Yeah.
Because that's the last qualifier. And then I've got a final show the week after that if I qualify for that final show. But yeah, other than that, like that was, so Thursday was the main loading day. Friday, a little bit more in the morning. From Friday afternoon, just pro fat meals all the way up until Saturday afternoon until before the stage. Then another carb meal, really low volume, digested so well. Like that will likely be my pre-stage meal. It's just a little bit of rice, good amount of dates, plenty of honey, and some chicken for the protein source, and then dark chocolate as the fat source. That'll be my pre-stage meal moving forwards. I might even take out the rice and just have dates and honey because dates, like, they digest so well, and it's like, so I could have like
Minimal
200
volume,
plus carbs and it feels like I've eaten nothing. And I'm just like, boom, I just get like a pump straight away. Feel really good. Pump up backstage was really good. Tan was really good. Right, literally couldn't have really been much better. I think I could have had more.
Just chilled out.
I could have had more glaze on my midsection, I think.
Yeah. But then the lighting was a bit dull.
Well, it's because when you lean forward towards the judges, you end up covering yourself. Like your shadow of your upper body covers your midsection.
The lighting there was, because it was very like top down. It wasn't like some shows it'll be almost like slightly in front of you, so you can almost kind of position your
WNBF
torso
lighting
wherever.
was really good because it's still like the angle was still lighting up towards you, whereas at the Fitex it was
just strictly downwards.
Yeah,
it was very aggressively down.
Covered myself a little bit when I was posing. But yeah, so obviously the first thing we did, like we got there, I had both of my coats of tan in the morning. So I had my base coat, and then like half an hour later I had my top coat. I think it worked well. I was really dark, but it was a good tan. It was a really nice tan. I was happy with it.
Yeah.
It's still quite nice now. Like it's washed off a good amount, but it's still quite nice. But the main focus was Alex, because Alex was on before me, so it was just making sure that he was all right. He was chilled out. To be fair, we had ages just chilling. The room that we were in was freezing. Like they had the aircon on. I don't know why. Luckily, I'd brought a second pair of socks and I had my hood up and I was okay. But then we went to the athlete meeting and it was so much warmer in the auditorium. So I was like, okay, that's good. And then backstage, it was so much warmer. And Alex was on pretty early in the show because he was juniors. So we just went backstage and I was like, right, cool, it's nice and warm here. Sorted Alex out. He got a good pump. He looked really good. He came second, unfortunately, because we did want to win, of course. But the guy that won was really good, so fair play to him. And we learnt a lot with Alex in terms of his posing needs to be better, in terms of, you know, the fact that we're still going to be leaner. This was just a warm-up show. He's still got another warm-up show before his 2 qualifiers. So yeah, we know what we need to improve upon. He's already leaner. Like he's down to a new low now anyway. But yeah, he looked really, really good, did Alex. So shame that he got beat, to be fair, because it was like he looked mint. It'd been like he deserved to win, but someone was better than him. So it is what it is.
Was it 2 out of 3? I saw the top 3.
Yeah, 2 out of 3. Yeah. But obviously it's untested federation, and Alex is natural. The guy that won was definitely not natural. So it doesn't matter. It's win-win, because you just come off stage and go, "Oh, I'm
he's on gear. I'm not."
Yeah, if I'd have lost, I'd have done that.
Alex can play the longevity card.
Yeah, he's not going to die, so
ever.
So then it was a case of just waiting around, because I was on later on, so I was just watching the show, making sure I was getting my meals in. So I had 3 pro-fat meals. I was drinking enough. I was tracking my fluid intake, and I was basically analysing every time I went for a wee how long it was, the
fluid
colour,
intake and fluid outtake.
Fluid input and output was analysed very closely. But even like down to little things, I feel like I'm so in tune with my body. Like I was clapping, and each class I was clapping, I would tell if I started to feel like I was getting flat and I was like cramping a little bit, and I was like, okay, right, I need to drink more, because I didn't need to eat more, because I was full. I'd had plenty of food in the days prior. It was just fluid. So there was like a point where I hadn't gone for a wee for like 2 and a bit hours, whereas I was going like every hour before that. So then I was like, right, shit, I just need to drink a bit more, otherwise I'll struggle to get a pump. But I'm like, yeah, I'm really happy and really confident going into the other shows with the amount of data that I've got now, and with the look. Like backstage, I was like, yeah, it's on. Like I look really good. Like, I felt really good. And then I fucked everyone up. I went and won the tall class, because I'm tall apparently. So the cut off for they basically say that the cut off is 178, and I'm 177.7. So I should have been in short, but because on the day it depends who turns up. Let's say there's 12 people and only 3 of them are above that tall cut off, they'll probably put some of the taller shorts into the tall. So that's what they did basically. They put me into the tall and put the cut off at 177, so I was right at the small end of the tall class, and the other guys were all a lot taller than me. Like, I looked tiny. Like the video when Shannon showed me when I came off stage, I was like, how have I won? I look awful. Then I analysed it a bit more, and when I looked at photos and when I looked at in the overall and stuff, I was like, okay, I actually look pretty good. I just looked small and short, like not small muscle wise, small shortness wise,
and a bit of muscle.
Well, yeah, but
in
I'm
comparison to
the
the guy
only
that
natty,
finished
and
third. You don't know, mate. The guy who finished 2nd and 4th, they could have easily been natty.
I don't think they were. They might have been.
They might have been. They looked natty. I don't think they didn't look natty actually. They looked enhanced, but they looked like not the best enhanced individuals. If that makes sense.
Well, the guy in 3rd was the best enhanced individual, was he?
He was the most enhanced. In
100%.
You could definitely, you can tell, full of gear. But like, that's not men's physique in the sense of the visual look. So it was like, yeah, cool. Like,
so anyway, I won the class.
Yeah,
went into the overall. Realistically, I won the men's physique overall. I think.
In terms of posing and
it was where they like placed us.
Yeah, but the other guy was like his posing was and
so basically, I won the men's physique overall.
He was hitting bodybuilding. Yeah, he was hitting bodybuilding like poses, but yeah, it was.
The overall was fun though.
The overall would have been fun, yeah. Like, well, I would have quite liked to have been in a Fitex overall in men's physique, because it would have been like side tricep, and the guy said hit your side shot, but I'd almost feel like you hit your side shot, but then maybe a transition into a side try. But it looks always awkward, like when you see a men's physique guy next to a bodybuilder, especially when Finn's coming into it as a bodybuilder. It's a bit of an awkward sort of pose down and situation, but. Yeah, and the highlight of the show was you not getting called. Finn didn't get into the overall like top 3, and when they called out first and Jack Thorburn, you were with me, weren't you? Like they said, third place and then second place, and I was like, whoa, Finn overall, baby! It was obvious Finn hadn't won the overall.
Really funny.
Yeah, well, Jack said it was funny, and the people around, like, it was just a bit of a laugh because you didn't get top 3. Yeah. Well, no, you just didn't get top 3. So, yeah.
I probably would have won your show at the Fitex Exeter.
What, the men's physique?
The overall.
Yeah, I don't think Guy. I don't think Guy.
The guy that won the overall at this one was actually very good. Ryan
Nolan. Ryan Nolan. No, Nolan's the film.
I think it's Ryan Dolan. But yeah, he was very, very good.
Yeah.
And then Jay came second, didn't he? Jay Davis, Magic Eye Media.
Yeah,
I think came second.
Yeah, they just did that for the.
I did him in the pose the what's it called?
Pose down.
Yeah. So that was Saturday. Do you want to let me know? Like, yeah, you go through your thoughts on it, and then we'll go into Sunday.
I don't really. It was like, I think when we walked, back to the car park, I kind of said, I was like, it's perfect of what we needed to get out and what you need to get out of it. Like, it was getting on stage, less kind of stress. I wasn't like blown away, and like me and Josh spoke about it, I wasn't like, oh my god, Finn, yeah, but that's not going to be the case. You're not 100%. It was like, okay, cool, you've won a class that's pretty poor. But it's good at stage experience. You looked good at what you like for someone who's not been on stage for 3 years, only first ever time in physique. It was like, yeah, sound like you looked comfortable. It wasn't where like you looked awkward, you didn't look rigid. It's different poses. It was like you got what you need to from a data standpoint, but it wasn't like, oh my god, that's the second coming of Finn. That's Finn Kelly 2.0. The step up has occurred. It was like, yeah, sound like you look alright. You look good. You got a win. The class wasn't the best. It was good from like a data standpoint, and then you take from that and you can move forward and get better, and which the plan was going to be the case of, let's say, getting better anyway. Like, you've still got a few pounds to pull off, and then the visual look since then has been really good. Like, dropped off a good amount of stress, had a nice weekend. Like, I think it was one of those where, like, if there was anybody who was at all men's physique who looked good in the class, they probably would have won. Or likewise, I don't know what would have occurred. Like, the guy finished second. The guy that listens to the podcast. Yeah, he looks good. So it would have been good to have seen you in the short lineup and see how things were. But like, the second you walked out, I was like, okay, well, he should win this if they're going off physique criteria, especially in 2023. And if they the second and the fourth place guy, they weren't in condition. They looked like lads who, no disrespect, but probably just on like test Nanavar and done like a 6 to 8 week prep, and that for physique is probably sound in most classes. And the guy that finished third was just a big dude who was in good condition, but like just a big dude. Like, he was just a big guy who wasn't very men's physique.
If he could pose and if he could control his midsection, I think he'd have beat me.
I don't think so, if I'm honest. He hit his
based on him being too big.
I think he was too big, too blocky, and also as well, like, when you men's physique front pose and you're hitting a front lat spread, it's like, I'm not too sure what that's about, if I'm honest. But again, like, that's one of those. If he had posed really well, if he had posed to men's physique sort of shots, then potentially it would have been a closer battle. But it was like, if they give him the win, it's just because he's got the most muscle, and
that's not physique.
No, exactly. And also, he was in probably the most condition, but that's relative to muscle mass. So I think that was relative to condition.
I said that to Christian. Christian was like, he was the leanest by, like, he was definitely the most in condition. And I was like, was he though? I was like, he looks more in condition because he's bigger. Yeah. I was like, but in relation to, if you're looking at like relative condition, I don't think he was more in condition than me. No. He was just bigger and more vascular because he's on gear.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So you look leaner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean when I say, like, he wasn't he looked the most conditioned for
his
photos.
His back wasn't more conditioned than mine. No. His midsection wasn't. No. He was just fuller and bigger through his chest, delts, arms, so he looked leaner. Yeah. But realistically, that's because he's got more muscle.
Yeah, exactly. And then you also throw in the weaknesses of posing, and then likewise, as you said, midsection control, and then as well, like, just like how he classic standard of like in between poses, he was like relaxing. He wasn't really like, he didn't actually look like a men's physique guy. So it was like, well, obviously, like, if they're going off him, he's the most objectively speaking, bodybuilding wise, he's the most impressive. I say impressive because it's like, well, he's the one who's actually in condition, he's on gear. Like, of course, it's going to be impressive in comparison to two Love Island guys who look like they're just on test now, and then a small natty.
Tall natty.
Tall natty. So yeah, so it was like I said, it was like one of those where if there was someone who turned up that was like really, really good, it probably would have been a case where again you still get what you can out of it, but you don't get a first.
Yeah, the goal was like it was literally just to get data and see how I looked in physique. Like if I'd have come fourth in a really good class, I'd feel the exact same now as winning a average class. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm amazing now. So like it's no difference to me. The goal was just how do I look? How do I feel? Especially like the overall. Because Shannon took a video of the class and screenshots from the video, but then in the overall she just took photos and they looked so much better. And I was like, just take photos, like don't worry too much about a video, or maybe like do a bit of both. But yeah, like the photos were so much better. I have bought the stage shots, but I bought them late, so I've not got them yet. But yeah, that was sort of the day.
What was your post-show meal, bro?
Post-show meal was cream of rice. So I'd made a bowl of cream of rice that was 1,500 calories. It was basically just more cream of rice than I usually have.
1,500 calories of cream of rice. Well, it was like 480 grams.
No, it was more. I'm literally going to say more cream of rice than I'd usually have. Raspberries, some dark chocolate, obviously a good amount of whey, peanut butter, and then like a flapjack bar. I had the flapjack bar. I had like half of the cream of rice and all the raspberries and the whey and the dark chocolate, but the cream of rice had gone like a weird consistency. Because I basically had it frozen overnight and then had it in the cool bag throughout the day, but it had gone like a weird consistency and it just wasn't as good, so I just left half of it. And then I weighed in a pound down the day after, and then the day after, so that's a nice segue to the day after. So Sunday was the WMBF show. So basically Saturday, Doug and Josh met me in Leeds from Scotland, and then I drove them down back to mine, and then we drove to Nicola's. So shout out to Nicola because she
A1 tanning.
She saw us at 9 p.m. and then 5 a.m. the next day. So
she's
like,
a gem, isn't she?
Yeah,
she does.
Is a gem.
Yeah,
so
like,
I bought her some flowers.
She'll just do anything. Like,
yeah, she is really good, helpful, and the tans were really good. So that was what happened that night. Like we got back, had to rush to Nicola's, then rush home, then get to sleep because we were up at like 4. So yeah, it was a hectic weekend. Then the Sunday went back to Nicola's, then went from Nicola's to Camberley, which is where the WMBF show was. And I just was back to digging. So I was back to 1,200 calories, which is basically just my rest day food at the minute. It's just protein servings with like lettuce and mushrooms. The magic mushrooms protocol, as we're now calling it, with myself and clients who are having mushrooms. So I've got that today. I've got
not a fan of mushrooms.
2 meals in the fridge. Oh, they're fucking incredible,
don't
mate.
like them.
Yeah, you would, I reckon, if you were dieting, if you had the ones I make.
Do you reckon?
A bit of garlic. Oh,
okay.
They are good. So anyway, Sunday, the main focus was basically, obviously, Josh and Doug competing. I was also there with CMP, so I had to like man the stand a little bit and like help out with that. Be a salesman on the day, but luckily it was all manageable. It was actually a really good day. So Josh won the teens, and he looked good, but he didn't look his best. And I think like Josh would have won the teens anyway at 50%. Like he was really good in the teens, but he was so much better in the overall based on like what we kind of did throughout the day. But yeah, Josh won the teens, and then at the end of the day won the overall, which people know already, which was fucking incredible.
Can we scale it back? You predicted potentially the overall.
Did, yeah.
Because Finn sent me photos like immediately after I don't even think he'd won. It was just like I think you sent them.
No, it was after.
Was it okay?
I sent them to you. I sent them to Shannon as well, saying that Josh has won.
Oh, I saw them before I saw that he won.
Yeah.
So like I go on my phone and see the photos, and I saw the front shot and I was like, okay. And I saw the rear shot. I was like, yeah, lights out. Like he's won. Like it was obvious even from the front shot he's won, but like the rear shots, I was
there
like,
were
yeah,
some
cool.
decent teens in there though.
Yeah,
it wasn't a bad standard.
No.
Like,
I thought it was just Josh. Josh is wicked. Like Josh is very good. And then I think I said I was like immense or like fantastic or something. And then like obviously I'm guessing there was a few classes on at that point, or you messaged me like an hour later.
After that, I'd seen the junior guys.
Yeah.
But I'd not been able to watch the show properly because I kept having to go back to the CMP stand. But I'd seen the junior guys, and obviously I was looking after Doug because Doug was going to be on soon. Seen the junior guys, and then I think after that I'd seen like the novice guy. And that's when I messaged you and I said, I think Josh has got a real good chance for the overall. I was like, from what I've seen. And then you were like, yeah, that'd be mental. That'd be like Mbappe vibes from the World Cup. Yeah,
I said originally R9 because that was like the first guy that I thought, who broke onto the scene. But then Mbappe World Cup, like
Mika Richards.
Yeah,
Mika Richards vibes.
Yeah.
So anyway, throughout the day, I was saying to Josh, I was like, basically, I wanted him to just keep me updated on every time he went for a wee. Bear's here.
Hello, Bear.
Hello, Bear. Keep me updated every time he went for a wee. for the visual listeners / watchers, there's a dog. So he was keeping updated every time I went for a week. I told him to just basically chill out, keep his feet up, because his legs, we needed his legs to be crisper, because when he did in the teen class, I was like, your legs weren't as crisp as they can be. And I think that was just down to stress and fatigue. Obviously, we'd had a really busy day the day before. He'd been travelling all the way from Scotland, not had a great sleep, had to be up early for the tan. So it was like, right, you need to drop off some fatigue from those legs, so you need to keep your feet elevated. He ended up actually having a bit of a nap, which was perfect. Just chilling out, keeping his eyes closed for like a good few hours, just chilling, just protein and fat meals. As soon as he came off stage, he had like a moderate carb meal, but then other than that, just protein and fat servings. And we were just having to like manipulate it sort of hour by hour based on when he was going to be on. The overall ended up being like 8:30, so it was a long day, and he was waiting around from when he'd been on at like 11. So
very long day. That.
Yeah,
like,
but
really
it was long, but it went quite quick. Like it was a long day, but it went quick because we were watching the classes. I kept coming out and checking on everybody. Obviously, we had Doug compete as well. So yeah, we'll come on to Doug in a minute. But sticking with Josh, we basically just made sure that we controlled everything really well, kept him off his feet, had some like he was literally just having whey and almonds like every few hours, whey and almonds again, making sure he was drinking enough, because I think a lot of the time people don't drink enough on the show day, thinking that they're going to be bloated. When it's like, if you don't drink enough, you won't get a pump.
No, man, the second you drink water, it just sits straight.
Just
like
sits
it
in your
goes
stomach.
only on show day. Any other day, fine.
Yeah, any other day you go for a wee, but not on show day.
It's just
You
straight
store
on
it
your
all.
stomach, straight on your quads, detail blurred, prep room.
So yeah, basically that's how we managed it. And then just before the overall, like to be fair, I said to Josh, I was like, make sure you tell your family to stay up and watch it.
Yeah.
And he was like, like I'm not bothered. Like I've told them that they don't have to be bothered. I was like, honestly, like tell them to watch it. And I don't think Josh really believed he would have a chance at all until he was getting a bit of a pump backstage, and until he was posing. And then like when he went out there, like he said, he heard me being really serious in the crowd, and I was like, mate, this is fucking on. Like, come on, like. And he was like, shit. And then he obviously went for it and he won. But yeah, we like made sure that we absolutely nailed his tan backstage. Thank you again to Nicola. She gave us some extra tan and a roller and stuff. So I was making sure everything was perfect, making sure his glaze was perfect. And he looked like on the money. He looked absolutely fantastic. And he deserved to win. And I'm glad that they rewarded it, because he had the best condition, the best posing, the best shape. Obviously, he wasn't the biggest. He was stood next to two massive guys who were like...
The black dude was like 3 times his size next to him.
Mate, I'm sure there were two black guys that I think they'd won. One of them won the heavyweight and one of them won the middleweight, I think. Yeah. And they were both really good. Like, Josh didn't beat average people. Like, he beat very good people, but he beat them... That if they were able to pose better, and if they were a little bit leaner, they would have beat him.
Yeah.
But he beat them based on his shape, based on his posing, based on his confidence, his stage presence, his tan, his glaze. Like everything was like
the things aren't just controlled by just your diet and just your training. Like there's things that other things like the extra posing. Work you put in.
Mate, 100%. He won because he worked the hardest out of everybody there.
Yeah.
Like, and he deserved it. And we worked the hardest out of everybody there. Like, there wasn't any other coach backstage at 2 minutes before he's going on, making sure his tan's perfect, making sure that he's confident, showing him photos, telling him he's gonna do, like, he can do it, like, and he did it, and it was incredible, and I was so buzzing. Like, it was amazing day. So yeah, it was really, really good. So that was Sunday, and then obviously we headed back. Josh got a Nando's. In terms of Doug, so Doug did the men's...
Nando's order?
I don't know, mate. You have to ask him.
Okay.
Doug did the men's physique short class, which was stacked, to be fair. There was like 14 people in it. The guy that won the overall, and he was really, really good.
He was wicked.
He was really good. But yeah, Doug was basically in the short class that was really busy. The guy won the overall that won that class, and he was incredible. But ultimately, Doug just needs to be leaner, and we know that, and that's the plan. That's what we need to do for the next 5 weeks before his next show. He needs to be lean, or less than that now, nearly 4 weeks. He needs to be leaner, and his posing needs to be better, and that's what he needs to focus on. That's what we need to do. We need to really get after it over these next few weeks, and he can do it. He just needs to believe in himself that he can do it, and he can be really, really good for this next show, 100%, because he's got a good amount of muscle. He's got a real good amount of muscle through his delts and his arms. His chest's good. His back is not overly weak muscle-wise, but it's posing-wise, but it does need more muscle, definitely. But yeah, he can be really, really good at this next show. Like, I have no doubt about it, and that's what we need to do. Yeah. But yeah, it was really good. So really happy with like how the weekend went as a whole, both with myself and with my clients, and I had like a lot of nice messages. People sort of like, "Oh mate, you know, you're doing really well. Like, congrats. This is the recognition you deserve and stuff." And it's like, yeah, it is. To be fair, like it's only a matter of time that that's going to happen, with the time and effort that I put into, like, obviously not just my own training, coaching, etc., but like everything. So yeah, it was good. It was like a weekend of like, right, that went really, really well. Obviously, there's like results like it'd been good if Alex won and Doug won, of course it would. Yeah. But it's not. That's not realistic. But it was like a really, really good weekend, and it just got sort of, obviously you don't need extra motivation, but anytime you go to a show, it gives you that extra bit of a boost and that extra bit of a sort of like excitement for your other clients and for yourself when the shows are coming around. Like, it gives you that extra bit of oomph, like, doesn't it?
I go away on holiday next month and I get back and I've literally looked every weekend from when I'm back. There's a show that I've got a client with for literally the next like 8 weekends.
That's what I'm like.
And I know by the end of it, I'm going to be battered. I remember last year, even going to like, I think 4 or 5 on the bounce, I was like, God, I'm absolutely on my ass.
I've got like the same, and I'm competing. I've got I've got show days with like 6 clients in and myself and stuff.
No, it'll be fun. And like, this is one of those where like, again, people kind of speak to us like we're really, really well established, and we're like, no, this is new for us. Like, this is only really the second year that we're like getting into this properly.
Another couple of years like this, and then
and it'll be like, and that's the exciting part where it's like it should be recognition. Like I had Davis, shout out Davis. They're probably listening while driving his lorry, and he said he was like, he's not looking to step on stage like anytime soon. It might be a goal of his one day, but he was like, I was really motivated after obviously like listening to the podcast, following Josh, seeing what you and Finn are doing. Like, it's wicked for you guys, and like I said, it's awesome. It's good. Like it puts, no, I'm not gonna say you on the map or me on the map or us on the map, but it's like we've always prided upon ourselves of the work we put in and the time we put in. So when like you get rewards from it relative to like, let's say clients, relative to new people signing up, the amount of times that we'll mention like, oh, this guy's signing up, or this guy spoke to me about signing up, and you're like, oh, sick, or you'll be the opposite way around. Like, it's
a lot of like interest obviously since the show weekend.
It's not like
going,
you're a better coach.
Yeah,
it's not like you're a better coach after the weekend, or it's not like you're a worse coach or whatever. Or like, let's say for example, because at the end of the day, let's say if you hadn't coached Josh and Josh had gone to another coach, Josh would have probably won the overall or done very well.
I don't think he'd have won the overall. I think you never know. You
never know, but he might not have even done that
show.
Josh at 100% for teens, you'd imagine Josh should be doing very, very well. Josh should be competitive if he's sliced, no matter who.
If you look back at when Josh started with me,
it
doesn't look like a genetic freak. It's not like, oh, this guy's incredible.
No, but I'm not saying that would be the case regardless. I'm also just saying, like, objectively speaking, like, Josh is good for a teen at this point. Good. You know, it's the same, for example, last year with Butcher's Wet Dream, like, signing up at like 8 weeks out, 10 weeks out, and you were like, he's already in good nick.
He was very good, but if Matt had have signed up with me before his prep, he'd have been better.
Yeah, like, definitely.
It's difficult when you get a client at that stage, and it's like you're trying to develop a relationship and stuff in the last like I can't remember how many weeks he was out when he signed up. Might have been 8 to 10.
Yeah. I think there's some people where, like, for example, like for me, like Gulliver or like Finley, I've coached now, and like he's blown up. Josh Jenkins done really well. He's going to be very, very good for the first timers. But like, let's say Connor Flanagan, like I've coached him. He then went to a closer coach, realised, it's not very good in comparison. That's pretty much what I see in Connor, so I'm guessing that's been the case. And then he signed back up, and he's now 9 weeks out, and we're looking at earlier shows. And like for a Natty going into a PCA show, like I'm very confident they will do well in the juniors. And like that'll be an untested fed.
Really good.
And he's very good. But that's, and I'm not going to be like, that's
good. His mate, 17.
Yeah, exactly. Good. So it's like, it's quite exciting that we seem to be building this little like army of like
you say,
juniors, teens, and this is the work we put in,
the time and effort we've been putting in. If you think back to lockdown, like the first lockdown when we started training together, like then we were, I think obviously like you were still at uni, and we were both still at uni then, weren't we? And like I think I had a few online clients, and you were just starting it, and it's like that's what, like three years ago.
It's mad that,
but like even before that, we were still doing stuff for like. When people ask me now, I'll go, well, when I was 19, I did my PT course. I'm 26 now.
Yeah,
like that's meant like 7 years that I've been in this game, and even before that, I was helping people out. Like that doesn't feel like 7 years, but when you think of it, like 7 years of pretty much every day doing something to benefit my business and grow. Yeah, that adds up. Like 7 years of 7 times 365. It's a lot of days, a lot of hours. It's a lot of time. Like it does add up, and that's like with how we are, that's 7 years of literally being relentless with it. Not like, oh, I did it for 6 months, then I stopped for 2 months, then I did it again. It's like, no, it's literally been every day. Like, I'm going to make this what I do, and I'm going to be really good at it. And like I say, this weekend was like the first real time, if you like. Not, of course, like there's been other things where like clients did well last year and stuff, like again, like Matt winning, and Maddie won the British title, and like Jack won his show last year and stuff like. There's been like really good results, but I think it's now people are probably going, oh shit, like these guys are actually really good, like because we conduct ourselves in a manner where we do take the piss out in a way, and we're like jokey. We're not. Somebody actually said to me the other day, I think his name's Harry Rand. I'm sure it's Harry Ransom. Sorry if I've Ransom. He's a judge at the WNBF. He's a physique guy, really nice guy. And he said to us, he said to me the other day, he was like, "Oh mate, I listened to your podcast. I really like it." He was like, "You're like exactly in the middle ground." He was like, "You're not overly hardcore like AJ, where everything has to be, like, say, overly serious, but you're also not as relaxed as I would be, or Josh." He was on about Josh Croggan. He was like, "You're in between." He was like, "You put out really good content. You know, it's good information. You work really, really hard, but you're also able to take the piss out of yourselves." And I was like, that's exactly what we wanted to do with this podcast.
That's it. Oh, that's exactly not even what we want to do. That's exactly how we've always been. Like, we've always been like that. Like, I think there'll be coaches out there that you see, and they're talking about telling their clients, like, right, you're in the trenches now, digging, you know, hunting.
We do that as a joke.
We do that as we're taking the piss, but because in the grand scheme of things, it's just a fucking diet, bro. That's what it is. But then at the same time, if your mindset is just a diet, you will get people that think, oh yeah, cool. Like, we don't get clients that sign up with us now who think we're just going to be like patting them on the back saying, yeah, go for a meal when you're fucking 3 weeks out.
I had a client say that today. He was literally like, as soon as I finish this diet, mate, I can't wait. I'm going to get myself a pizza. As soon as you tell me, I'm going to get myself a pizza and a pint of ice cream. And I literally was like, no, you're not.
No.
And he's not a competitive client. I was like, this is just for general health purposes.
I had someone say, like, I think I deserve a dessert. And I was like, you don't deserve a dessert,
you don't
bro.
deserve anything. You earn the right. Like, I always say that. Like, people think, oh, I've deserved this, or I've earned this. It's like, when you think like that, you just end up, every time you do anything that's worthy of it, like anytime you do anything that's quote unquote worthy, you'll just then counteract it with something that is going to have a negative effect.
So that's basically that, guys. So really good weekend
wrap up.
Weekend wrap up. Any questions, anything like that to follow, feel free. You're more than welcome. We'll follow up in the not the next episode, but the episode after. But either way, many more positive weekends to come, with obviously Finn actually showing his legs on stage, which will be good, which will be exciting. And in general, I think these kind of show weekends are only going to get better from now on. And this season is going to be like putting us on the map. Next year's only going to be better. And positives. So all good. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the story tags. Catch you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.